Hi there. My name is Dr. Enayat. I am a GP, and what I want to be talking to you about today is what I've created since being a GP, what I've been working on for many years now, which is trying to push forward a personalized health model. And you might ask yourself the question, what we are delivering personalized health to each individual patient. We deliver personal care in whether it's general medicine, surgery, etc., etc. And we absolutely do. This realm of personalized or precision medicine is ultimately just a description for looking at more detailed data points on each patient. So looking at innovations in testing that will identify problems earlier, imbalances that might lead to problems, and also be looking at traditional markers in a non-traditional way. So there's the diagnostic element, then there is the delivery element. So how can we look at innovating in delivery? And technology is one element, how we can engage with our clients better using technology, how we can understand them better, how we can be much more real-time comparatively to medicine and healthcare maybe 10 years ago. And I'm in that age range as a general practice and as a physician that has seen early in their career real massive advancements in technology, which have driven a wave within this realm of delivery, from telehealth to health wearables to apps, and patients and people using these telephone interfaces or web app interfaces much more readily and much more engaged across all ages now. And that's been further compounded by COVID as well. So far we've talked about diagnostic innovations in the realm of understanding your patient better, and we'll dive into that in a second. The second area I've been just mentioned is around delivery method, utilizing technology. That's one element. The second element is looking at how we deliver health from the perspective of interactions. When you are physically or remotely interacting with a patient, what are you talking to them about? How are you looking at their environment, how they live their life, to be able to support them and coach them to live better towards their health goals. And so this is the element of embracing health coaching within a model, that's one aspect, which looks very much more around their environment, around each person, how we eat, move, sleep, control stresses, and how those affect our biological processes that inevitably lead to disease processes and disease states or states of ill health. So far, diagnostics, delivery, and the third arm to look at is therapeutics. And how we've looked at therapeutics in the realm of where we're applying this type of healthcare. We've looked in how we can make some of the biological processes work better to give better results, how we can enhance self-healing pathways, things like that. So my personal background, I qualified quite a few years back and have subsequently did my general practice training, during which I did a DASI fellowship or fellowship in clinical leadership and management, where I worked in and highly recommend it when you come out of medical school to be thinking ahead and say, okay, where, you know, pursue your interests. My fellowship was in and around adopting innovations into the health system. I worked with UCL Partners. I worked at Whittington Trust, Pentonville Hospital, Prison, and I worked on projects like telemedicine, um, how to make expert patient groups, not make them, but how to be facilitate expert patient groups in helping people manage their conditions. I did an undergrad intercalated in healthcare management, during which my thesis was based around the stem cell industry, which took me to go to do my elective in a stem cell facility in the US. And at that time, I was really just blown away about the potential of stem cell therapy, and how we weren't taught in that narrative or that paradigm or that lens in terms of treating health. And it made me think. And then going on to practicing general practice in inner city London, coming up against some blockers in facilitating true empowerment for patients to take control of their health. Kind of put that all together and did a further learning journey in alternative approaches to healthcare and the human body, looking at nutrition, something called functional medicine, which is more about how your body functions, and the health that comes with it, rather than disease states identification. So that's functional medicine I studied in the US, and I started piloting these ways. I came across this world of biohacking and herbal medicine, and I created our center here in London, Chelsea, what you see behind me here. We now have a couple of centers in London, and we're delivering this type of healthcare through telehealth. And it's really, really fascinating, you know, and I'm getting to now apply this type of healthcare in the realm of pre-disease for people that want to live healthier, to feel better in the moment, and to live longer, so longevity as well, and also in performance medicine as well. So kind of fringing this into sports and performance medicine. So for me, it's been a really fascinating journey that's ongoing, that has seen me be, you know, be able to be very passionate and to because it requires a lot of passion and hard work to innovate, to adopt disruptive innovations. And we do feel like the way we're delivering healthcare is fairly disruptive. You know, there aren't many centers looking at the number of data points we look at. We're trying to engage with the patients in a coaching-based practice and applying therapies that are non-traditional and innovative. And with really, really nice results. And so I know that you, as medical students, I think are at a point where you can open your eyes. And I think that's why Prof. Shafi has put this wonderful panel together, including myself, to hopefully just give you a whole breadth of taste, because you are the future. You will dictate how the future of healthcare, and be part of that, is delivered, how patients engage in health, in their health journey. And ultimately, health is the most important vehicle for fulfillment, to be able to use the vehicle, the human body, as a vehicle to fulfill. So let me share a few things. I'm not going to go on for a long time, and I hope to meet you guys one day in person. So this is the brand that we created, the latest brand that we created. It's called Human, and instead of the 8, it's got the number 2. And what that's all about is helping people quickly realize that they can create a human 2.0 version of themselves. And we're a brand that has very kind of powerful communication, storytelling strategies. And that's something that we are seeing now and being of vital importance, especially in this realm of pre-disease healthcare, which extends all the way to wellness, and some very fluffy, unregulated claims, unsubstantiated claims. And at the other end, we're trying to be in the realm of professionalizing this realm of pre-disease care, creating algorithms of care, clear patterns of management, and so that it's reproducible. We can test our hypotheses, we can build data and evidence, and we can then build a platform to be able to adopt other innovations into. So really we started at the definition of health. When we looked at health, we said, what is the ultimate goal that we're trying to achieve with our patients? What is that nirvana, that ultimate state of health? And for us, the ultimate state of health is the definition of being in absolute vitality. And then we started to look at, from a longevity science perspective, at how we age, and some of the processes that slow down as we age, and how that reflects in how we feel. And then also, at what point do diseases kick in? So this is a typical kind of established perspective on longevity of our health. At T0 times 0, when we're a baby, we are producing health as an output, where we're regenerating, growing our tissues, growing our organs, adjusting to this new environment and learning all the time. And we're producing health, and we would say that we peak in our late 20s. And then as we get a bit older, from our late 20s onwards, the processes that produce health as an output start to become inefficient. And we then start to drive more imbalances, whether it's metabolic imbalances, lipidology, dyslipidemia, inflammatory processes. And we know, if we go down to the science level, we're talking about genetic instability, DNA mutations, oxidative stress, which drive some of those processes aforementioned, that lead to disease. And disease being that typical definition of that we're trained in traditional medicine around these disease states: diabetes, type 2 diabetes, all of these disease states that we have traditionally identified. So I want us to kind of meditate on that for like a millisecond, where we just understand and try and look at the human body as this vehicle that produces health as an output, but slows down in producing optimal health, and then eventually, which predisposes us to disease state. Go down a bit further, very simplistically, we have pro-growth pathways. The ability to self-heal is massive, from a stem cell longevity perspective, producing and growing and regenerating a mechanism such as stem cell production, hormone production, growth hormone production, etc., etc. And that slows down, and we're kind of pre-programmed for this. And those, some of those pro-growth pathways slow down and stop in some cases, and then some of the degenerative pathways increase, and our ability to regulate those degenerative pathways also becomes less efficient. And so in this period, we're in this inefficient health period from our 20s onwards, and then we go towards old age and diseases start to kick in. Now, this slide here is representing, basically, if we look at the human body as a vehicle, what are the metrics or outputs we produce? Cars produce braking, speed, torque, handling, acceleration. What is it as a human body we produce? And this, if you guys haven't come across this, is Knight Rider, which is basically a self-driving car. It's a TV series program. It's fantastic. I think I caught the tail end of it when I was really young. This is Kit, the self-driving car, and this is David Michael or David Hasselhoff, who's the equivalent to our consciousness. And our human body is in autopilot much of the time, and the consciousness then drives it towards where it wants to go. So that perspective on the human body is quite a powerful perspective, because then we start to reflect and think about the human body differently. And we start to realize that the human body and those processes that go on become hard or soft wired by the way we live our environment. And we can then take a step up and look at ourselves as really this multicellular organism that is highly impacted by our environment, to the way that we are wiring our thought processes that become habits and patterns of behavior. And also our biological processes, our stress mechanisms, our, our hormonal, our adrenal glands, producing cortisol, which impacts our blood sugar regulation to keep our cortisol high. Blood sugar also stays high, etc., etc. So we get biologically soft wired and neurologically hardwired as well by our environment. So going back to those outputs we produce as a human body, I want you to focus just on the blue circle here. And because what we're trying to do here is identify that optimal state of vitality. So we did some surveys in our process, and we looked at and asked our patients, what is being the optimal state of the human body? What does it mean to you? And we looked and came up with these 14 outputs of health: energy, consistent energy, resilient mood, cognition, memory, focus, attention, etc., etc. We then started to map out look at the systems that produce those outputs in a different way. So rather than traditional medicine, we're looking at, we switch from science, which looks at the cellular level and some of the processes that go on, and understanding the core science. Then we go from that point into the application of science into organs or systems: respiratory system, cardiovascular system, endocrine, etc., etc. So we stayed with in a slightly different way and put those systems together in a slightly different way, because what we're looking for is not pathology, traditional pathology in those systems. We're not looking directly for treating heart attacks, strokes, hypoglycemic events through rheumatoid arthritis. We're not looking to treat at that end. What we're looking to do is to identify the processes that lead to there and create changes earlier. And so we looked at some of the important processes that go on in our biology that ultimately produce those outputs. Mitochondria at cellular level, producing energy. Nutrients, and when we say nutrients, we mean everything from how we take our nutrients out of our food. So starting at the mouth all the way out to excretion involved in that. And then absorption across the gut lining into the blood supply, delivery of those nutrients. That's our blood supply. Within that, we would put lipidology and vascular inflammation, for example, excretion, waste. So within that, we talk about detoxification, lymphatics, kidney function, liver function, and obviously the GI tract excreting efficiently as well. Self-repair. So this is our ability to self-repair. Remember, we're this living organism that is continually self-repairing and replicating, etc., etc. Immune system, kind of balanced immune system, because we're seeing a massive rise in autoimmune conditions. And with COVID as well, we take a step back and we reflect on why it's so dangerous to some people is, and what predisposes them to have these hyper-inflammatory reactions. And remember, our immune system is there to protect us from things that we find external to our natural environment. And so there's a couple of elements here, is that Are we exposed to things that are unnatural a lot? And are our abilities and our barriers that we have, any of them structurally impaired to protect us from those? Then what are the other factors that go into a healthy immune response? We know that sleep is very important. Deep sleep is when we produce our T cells from our thymus gland, for example. It's when our stem cells are produced from our bone marrow. And it's when we really produce those restorative self-repairing mechanisms. But cell turnover autophagy comes into this, and you know that intermittent fasting has really blown up over the last 5 years, I would say. And that's all about how we drive increased and replace senescent aging cells, autophagy. Nervous system, the balance of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and how that communicates with our hormones directly, hormones being our thermostats, actually a symphony that controls the way we feel, energy, mood, sleep, libido, DNA, and the unraveling of that DNA. So a bit of epigenetics into here. And we're learning now more and more the role and relevance of epigenetics. Which genes can we switch on and off from our environment, where we eat, move, sleep, control, stress? So in this approach, we call this a complex systems approach to health, where we look at the biological processes that go on at any given time, which are impacted by our environment, the environment within which we put this organism. Simple examples, we know that certain bacteria grow better in heat than in cold. It's just a simple, or moisture, etc., etc. So as humans, multicellular, more complex organisms, we are impacted by this. Now, this is really important because this is where we can give the power back to the people. And what I mean by that is that we can help people take control of their sleep, stresses and stress response, movement, etc., food, nutrition, and we can help them to improve their biological processes and then improve their state of health. We can go a bit further and add in data points. And that's what we've done at Human, is that we have been collecting 4 sets of data. So subjective questionnaires, continual health wearable data, static measurements. So, carotid interval thickness testing, ECG, EEG, DEXA, and biomarkers, okay, that map against the biological processes. And then the pink circle represents some of the interesting strategies that can be used, whether it's looking to address imbalances through prescribed approach to supplementation, using nutritional strategies, health coaching for behavior change, using things like hyperbaric oxygen therapy for antioxidant support, or glutathione, or ozone therapy, and being able to understand how to prescribe each one of these according to the goals, the budget, the timeline, and availability, and what's going on with that patient. Yeah. And so I guess that's ultimately what we're doing. And through doing and taking this lens, we're seeing time and time again that we are improving the health state, how they feel. The outputs of health are improving. If they've got a fringe disease or early signs of disease processes, whether it's metabolic dysfunction or dysregulation, whether it's Hashimoto's thyroid condition, whether it's hormonal imbalance, we are seeing improvement. And disease is a process, and we believe that by improving that process, or identifying imbalances in those processes earlier, we prevent deterioration and you improve health span. And that's what ultimately we're trying to achieve, is how do we improve the span time of health that we have. And we I won't go into too much more detail, but we've got our own approach through testing, which looks at algorithms of testing. And then the fun stuff is around how we're applying this to different athletes and different sports and industries. and how we're looking at this from a data and AI perspective as well, how we can utilize advancements in in the technological world. And so what I suggest you do, and you're short on time now, is look at our brand, engage with us, be part of that community, sign up to our newsletters, be inspired if this realm of pre-disease healthcare, how we can improve the human experience while you have health is interesting to you, then please follow us, engage with us, and feel free to drop me an email. And if you have any queries, if you're interested, and be inspired, and I guess from my learning journey, from my personal journey, which is ongoing, I can offer you a couple of nuggets, and those nuggets are basically around reframing how you look at the human body, questioning the normal methodology of looking at the human body, looking at what's happening around the world, not just within the NHS. And we've got a lot to learn from each other, from developing countries. Oh, sorry. One sec. Okay, sorry. We've got a lot to learn from developing countries, as do developing countries have to learn from us. And we've got a lot to learn from other developed countries as well. And think about how we can apply science more in medicine. So those are some of the, and technology, like I'm wearing an Oura ring right now, and I do recommend looking at health wearables because people are engaging with these. And sometimes we can discount things too quickly and without proper investigation, and be curious and follow that curiosity, because this is how you disrupt, this is how you change, and where this is how progress stops being very slow and steady, and you get little jumps. And we're hoping that we can inspire you, I can inspire you to believe that will be possible. I mean, the playing field will have changed massively by the time, in that 5-10 years, by the time you finish your specialty training programs. So, but be prepared, embrace the technology, embrace the advancements. And the next one coming is the metaverse. So that's really fascinating. All right, guys. If you want to learn more about us, www.human, instead of the A, the number 2.com. Go to our Instagram at human, my Instagram at bydoctor.e, or LinkedIn. Just give us a follow and be part of an interesting journey. All right, take care. I'm going to stop recording now.